Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Finally happened. The moment fans waited years for. No scandals, no shortcuts, just pure talent, hard work, and quiet resilience. When Wang Yibo's name was announced on that grand stage, history was rewritten. But what makes this victory truly unforgettable is the journey behind it. Stay with us because this isn't just a win, it's a statement. This is Star Watch Now, and today we witness greatness. The night of the awards wasn't just another glamorous event. It felt like the climax of something far greater, something deeply personal for millions of people. The venue shimmered with anticipation. Beneath the dazzling lights and luxurious gowns, there was a tension that pulsed through the crowd like a quiet storm. Everyone could sense it. This night might belong to someone who had waited far too long to be seen for who he truly was. Wang Yibo arrived not as a pop idol, not as a celebrity groomed for cameras, but as an artist standing on the edge of recognition. The media flashes tried to capture the moment, but what they couldn't catch was the quiet weight in his eyes. The expression of a man who had climbed his way up, not with noise, but with discipline, patience, and pain that never made headlines. Outside, fans stood behind barriers, many in silence, clutching light sticks and banners, their faces lit by live stream screens. They weren't just hoping he would win, they were hoping he would finally be understood. For years, they had watched him be overlooked, labeled, underestimated. But tonight was different. There was something in the air. The nomination itself was a breakthrough, but the possibility of him actually taking the top honor, it felt like a collective dream. Whispers filled the hall. Could this really be his moment? Could the industry, at long last, look beyond appearances and see the depth of someone who had been quietly working in the shadows? That night was more than a ceremony. It was the edge of change, a quiet revolution, a heartbeat before history. He was never meant to fit the mold. From the moment Wang Yibo stepped into the public eye, the industry tried to place him in a box, idol, heartthrob, commercial face. They saw the surface, the sharp jawline, the effortless dance moves, the confident stage presence, and they assumed that was all there was. In a world that often values noise over nuance, few took the time to ask what lay beneath the image. He was praised for being stylish, marketable, entertaining, but rarely, if ever, for being a serious artist. Yet behind the camera flashes and stage lights, Yibo was building something no one could see. While others focused on the next chart topper or brand deal, he was quietly, relentlessly shaping a career with substance. He accepted small roles, took acting lessons at night, and studied scripts with the intensity of someone who knew he had to prove not just his talent, but his right to be taken seriously. There was no safety net, no shortcut, no PR stunt strong enough to change perception overnight. What he had was time, and the willingness to endure being misunderstood. Critics were quick to dismiss him. They called him a brand, not an actor. A face, not a force. And yet, he kept showing up. Film sets instead of runways. Dialogue coaches instead of interviews. Scenes with few lines, but eyes that carried the weight of entire monologues. He didn't fight back with words or press statements. His response was patience. His answer was the work. It's easy to celebrate someone once they've arrived. But few see the nights spent in self-doubt, the roles that were rejected because they didn't align with his values, the discipline it takes to turn down easy fame for the long road of credibility. Yibo chose the latter path, lonelier, quieter, but far more honest. And in doing so, he slowly dismantled every label they tried to give him. What makes his story so powerful isn't just that he succeeded. It's how he did it, without bitterness, without noise, without needing to prove anything to those who didn't believe. He let the work speak, and eventually it did. The industry began to notice. Directors looked twice. Audiences leaned in, not because he demanded attention, but because he had earned it. Wang Yibo defied every label not by resisting them loudly, but by outgrowing them completely. Every career has milestones, but for Wang Yibo, the turning points were never loud or manufactured. They were quiet revolutions, moments that reshaped how people saw him and how he saw himself. They weren't marked by flashy headlines or orchestrated controversies. Instead, they were defined by integrity, risk, and a steadfast refusal to compromise his artistic vision. One of the earliest shifts came not from a blockbuster hit, but from a role few expected him to take, small, subtle, and emotionally complex. It didn't come with viral fanfare, but it planted a seed. People began to whisper, perhaps he could act. Perhaps there was more behind the camera-ready exterior. Then came the Untamed. It was the role that changed everything, but not in the way most imagine. To the outside world, it was a sudden explosion of fame. But for Yibo, it was a personal trial. The role of Lan Wangji demanded restraint, emotional depth, and an understanding of silence that few actors his age had mastered. It was a role that could have easily flattened into simplicity in the wrong hands. But Yibo carried it with an almost haunting stillness. His performance didn't scream. It whispered, and in that whisper, it reached millions. Audiences began to see what his closest collaborators had known all along. This was not just an idol playing dress-up. This was someone capable of profound emotional truth. Still, one moment of success wasn't enough to silence doubt. For years after, he continued to face skepticism. But he never tried to chase the spotlight. He let the spotlight catch up to him. He chose roles with intention, not popularity. He turned down projects that would have guaranteed easy fame, opting instead for characters that pushed his boundaries. When he appeared in Hidden Blade, everything changed again. His performance was raw and restrained, filled with unspoken tension and emotional gravity. There were no dramatic speeches or overwrought gestures. Just the quiet power of an actor in complete control of his craft. That film didn't just elevate his profile, it erased the final doubts. The industry couldn't ignore him anymore. And perhaps for the first time they didn't want to. But perhaps the most important turning point wasn't a role or a performance. It was a shift in public perception, when people stopped calling him lucky and started calling him deserving. When his name appeared not just in fan circles, but in critical conversations. When directors and producers started speaking of him not as a trending figure, but as a leading man, a storyteller, a true actor. These moments, scattered across the years, stitched together a quiet transformation. He didn't demand respect. He earned it. Every turning point in Wang Yibo's journey was a moment where he chose substance over spectacle, growth over comfort, and truth over performance. And it is in those choices that his legacy began to take shape. So when the nominations were announced, the room held its breath. Veterans, newcomers, icons, and then his name. And the award for Best Actor goes to Wang Yibo. Gasps, applause. Some stood, some cried. Outside, fans screamed in unison. Across live streams, phones, and hearts. For the first time in history, an actor from the post-1990s generation had taken home the highest honor. Not as a fluke, not as a fan vote, but because he earned it brick by brick. No tears, no theatrics. He stepped forward, held the golden trophy, and looked directly at the crowd. Thank you to those who believed in me, even when I hadn't proven anything. That was all. And it was enough. Because real fans knew, those words carried years of silent struggle. Globe showing Asia Australia, Scene 6. Beyond the trophy. What this really means, 4 o'clock. This win isn't just Yibo's. It's for every young artist who's been told, you're not enough. For every idol who dared to pursue something deeper. For every fan who believed, even when others laughed. It's a crack in the ceiling. Not just for Wang Yibo, but for a whole generation that follows. He didn't break records by shouting. He did it by outlasting expectations. From underestimated to undeniable. So what do you think, drama lovers? Has the industry finally opened its eyes? Will this reshape the way idols are seen, not just in China, but around the world? Let us know in the comments. Your voice matters. And don't forget, this isn't the end of Wang Yibo's story. It's just the beginning of a much higher chapter. Backhand index pointing right, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode of Star Watch Now. We're here to bring you the stories behind the spotlight, the real journeys that move hearts around the world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.